absolutely stunning piece of poetry with some blasphemy and very much workshopping stand-up comedy. This show is going to be split into like two parts essentially. There's the first half, which is the blasphemy, and the second half will contain almost no jokes, but I want to say, for everybody here, I highly encourage just shouting questions for that part. I'm going to be bringing you guys back to the magical year of 2019, when the movie Gemini Man came out, so that's going to be fun. Anyway, let's start with the blasphemy. A little bit of backstory here, just because it'll make way more sense. I am admittedly not a religious person. This will, again, blasphemy, if that's bad. Everyone else has already left, so it's fine. However, I am also pansexual, which, for those of you that don't know, that's the sexuality equivalent of don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah. So, like, I don't care what the cover says as long as I can stick my dick between the pages. I'm also polyamorous, which is also important for the joke, which means that I can read more than one book at a time. I'm banned from the library. Anyway, so as a not straight, not monogamous person, I have essentially been shafted by God. And so as a non-religious person on top of that, I'm going to give you guys an example of how I would pray. Hello, new people. We're going to do some blasphemy. Anyway. God, I know that we got off on the wrong foot, but I just want to say, if there's anything that I can do at all to make this better, I'm willing to put in the work. You know, I end my prayers with amen, but with you, we don't have to stop with just one. You know, we can do more. We can do more. You know, let's talk about my job. Anyway, so that's the blasphemy. That's a workshop. There's probably going to be an end at some point. Who knows? On to the second half of the show. Again, like I said earlier, I highly encourage questions. But this half of the show is going to have almost no jokes. I am just going to explain the plot of Gemini Man as best as I can. So I don't know the names of the actors or the characters for all of these. I did literally just watch the movie yesterday, but I can tell you that the names don't matter in the slightest. So I'm going to use substitutes of either the actor's name or a character that they play that you might know them as. Okay, so our main character, Will Smith. He's like super secret agent, badass guy. He essentially plays Arnold Schwarzenegger. But if Arnold Schwarzenegger looked, talked, and acted exactly like Will Smith. So he essentially just plays Will Smith the entirety of the movie. And he retires, and they don't want him to retire because he's like the best there ever was. So he's playing Will Smith. Anyway, so he retires, and this DIA, whatever, letter people, you know, I can make that joke, I'm gay. Anyway, so letter people are spying on him to make sure that he doesn't like deluge secrets or whatever. Letter people being played by Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim. Anyway, so they're spying, she gets burned, Will Smith figures out who she is, and then he learns a government secret, and now the government wants to kill both of them. So the government tries to kill Will Smith, but Will Smith is the best, so Will Smith kills the government. It doesn't work out for them. So then they have to send a super secret special agent man after Will Smith. So Will Smith is now in like Colombia now, for some reason, with his best friend who is the guy from Doctor Strange that isn't Doctor Strange, like his like sidekick guy. Oh yeah. Yeah, you get it. You know what I'm talking about. That guy. Anyway, so Will Smith is getting hunted down in Colombia by a super secret agent that they're saying is like the new best, the only person that can kill Will Smith, also played by Will Smith. So Will Smith is currently getting hunted down by Will Smith in the streets of Colombia, but Will Smith outsmarts Will Smith. I know, right? It's wild. Anyway, so they escape. Will Smith escapes with Ramona Flowers and that guy from Doctor Strange, who isn't Doctor Strange. And they escape, and they end up going to Budapest, where he meets some Russian guy. And then Will Smith attacks Will Smith. It gets wild, don't worry. So Will Smith attacks Will Smith, and then they keep attacking until Will Smith is like, whoa, Will Smith looks a lot like me. And so there's like a little bit of an existential crisis. And it turns out that Will Smith's old boss actually cloned Will Smith in order to make Will Smith and raised Will Smith as his dad. Well, like, as his son, right? So Will Smith's boss is Will Smith's dad. Basically, everyone caught up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So they fight. Ramona Flowers is also there. The guy from, I'm just, like, this whole thing is a spoiler, obviously. But the guy from Doctor Strange that isn't Doctor Strange, he dies, and his only role in the film is to be the emotional lead. That's it. Like I said, there's no jokes here. This is the whole thing. You had your chance to leave. Anyway, so Will Smith and Ramona Flowers, they have this big plan where they're gonna lure Will Smith into the catacombs and trap him there. And they bug Ramona Flowers with the idea that if Will Smith tries to search Ramona, that she's gonna be so pretty that he's gonna fail to search her, and it works. And we know that because Will Smith is Will Smith, so he knows everything that Will Smith is gonna do, right? That's how that works. He's Will Smith. I should point out, this whole time, Will Smith is being digitally de-aged, and it looks like a little off. Like, just a little off, where you can tell that that's like Fresh Prince Will Smith, but it's just like, it's a little wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Will Smith eventually traps Will Smith and gives him the whole speech of like, hey, we're the same person, how have you not figured that out yet? And Will Smith, being a dummy, shouts, "You are not me." He literally is. They did a DNA test. They're the same person. Anyway, so we move on further throughout the film. Eventually, Will Smith goes to his father and is like, "Hey, father, was I a lab baby?" And Will Smith's dad was like, "Yes." And Will Smith was like, "Damn." And then Will Smith goes to Will Smith and he like traps him in an area and then he shoots him with a dart full of bee venom because Will Smith is allergic to bees. And Will Smith then gets bee allergic, and then he hits him with an EpiPen and is like, okay, now I know we're the same person because we're both allergic to bees and that makes you the same person. Anyway, so Will Smith and Will Smith eventually team up and they decide to kill Will Smith's dad and Will Smith's boss. Again, we all on the same page here.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, cool. I want to make sure I'm explaining this properly. This movie's hilarious. Everybody should watch it. Force other people to watch it too.
Is it meant to be a comedy?
No. There are very few jokes in this movie. It's so funny.
It's so funny.
It's hilarious. Anyway, so Will Smith and Will Smith eventually team up and they decide to go to Georgia. Just in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, kind of like the town from First Blood, very similar to that, where it's just one street, and that one street has everything on it, and then they fight on the rooftops. Anyway, so they have this big fight here. The one guy dies, and then the fight continues, but Will Smith's dad is there, and so is Will Smith's boss, because they're the same person. And they're fighting. Will Smith and Ramona Flowers, who's still there, kill everybody, except for Will Smith's dad. And then Will Smith's dad, and Will Smith's boss, mind you, they decide to send in a super soldier. This guy is like doing flips and everything, like he's going around there, like he's able to easily handle both of them, both Will Smith and Will Smith, until Ramona like blows him up and then causes him to like finally die because he got lit on fire and then shot like 3 times with a shotgun. Anyway, they unmask him, Will Smith. There's a third Will Smith in this movie. I'm just gonna say it, Nutty Professor ripped off Gemini Man. So, Will Smith and Will Smith just killed Will Smith. And they're like really upset about it. And then Will Smith's dad comes along and like tries to give him this whole like morality speech where clones don't have like real families, therefore they aren't like upsetting real parents if they die or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then Will Smith is like, I'm gonna shoot you. And then Will Smith is like, don't, you'll regret it. It's one of those classic, like, you shouldn't kill people at the end of movie things. Anyway, Will Smith talks Will Smith out of shooting Will Smith's dad. And then Will Smith takes the gun away. And then just shoots the guy immediately after. Like, perfect comedic timing. It is the funniest thing. No, don't shoot him. Bang! It's so good. And then the movie ends with Will Smith going to college and Will Smith and Ramona Flowers being the parents at the college. And that's the whole movie. Like, it's not a comedy. I told this as, like, verbatim as humanly possible. Anyway, yeah, I have been trying to do